I am going to continue reading our missionary story called The Tiger is Loose, Part 2. Now I want you to remember what I read every time is I'm reading from a book, Missionary Stories with the Millers by Mildred A. Martin. And the author writes, all the missionary stories are about real people and based upon incidents which actually happened. Many of the details, however, have been supplied by the author's imagination. Geographical information and backgrounds of local color are authentic and true to life. And as I read through some of the stories, some of the wording was archaic, and I changed that for a little bit of clearer understanding for you, the listener. So that said, we had a story, if you look up here, of a missionary in Peru, and that's in South America, and he was flying over the jungles of northern Peru in a small plane with a pilot named Jack. Actually, the pilot was named Jack. Some chickens, 2 turtles, and a very live ocelot. So we had just gotten to feathers flying everywhere. The ocelot was loose in the plane, and I'm going to continue reading. Jack forgot all about flying the airplane and began grabbing for chickens, but it was no use. The ocelot, and I'm going to show you our ocelot. Should have had it ready, but I didn't. The ocelot is a South American panther. I did not say that correctly last time. The ocelot soon had a chicken trapped on the floor under Jack's seat, and Jack could hear the sharp teeth crunching on flesh and bones. The plane was 3,000 feet up in the air, and no help was near. What could Jack do? Would the ocelot be satisfied after her chicken dinner and sleep for a while? Or would she decide to hunt for some more meat? Slash! One tawny foreleg, tipped with a steely claws, shot out from under the seat toward Jack. For an instant, the ocelot's claws hooked into the pilot's pants and then tore free. Jack's pounding heart seemed to be squeezing the breath from his lungs. The tiger was hunting him. With all his might, Jack kicked back at his enemy, and she yowled a blood-curdling cry of rage that filled the small plane. Lord, what shall I do? Help me find a place to land, Jack prayed desperately. Looking out the window, he spotted a small settlement by the river below. Jack rolled down the flaps of his plane and began to circle around for a landing, kicking the cat with his heels every time she reached for his leg. He finally got the plane down to the water. And I'm just going to show you what a pontoon plane looks like. It can land on the water because of the pontoons under the boat. But they are very tippy, and this is a small boat. And there was a live ocelot inside it. A crowd of Peruvian men appeared as Jack taxied the plane up to the bank. Help, he shouted out the window. I have a loose tiger cat in here. A dozen men jumped onto the pontoons at the same time, all trying to see into the plane, which began to sink. No, cried Jack, not all at once. And the men jumped off again, and their leader sent for a coil of rope. And soon the angry ocelot had been lassoed and safely tied up. Sighing with relief, Jack thanked the Peruvians. Oh, it is nothing, the leader smilingly told Jack. We are just so glad you landed here. One of my men had a heart attack this morning and may die if we cannot get him to the hospital. Will you take him along to the city? Of course I will take him, Jack agreed. So the Lord had a purpose in allowing the tiger cat to break loose, Jack mused as he helped lift the sick man into the airplane. God used a snarling ocelot and a scared pilot to get his plane to the right place and save this man's life. Less than 2 hours later, the sick man was safely in the hospital at Iquitos, and the army officer had his ocelot, and Jack was on his way back to the mission at Yarina, Quichua. And this historical note said Jack the pilot was Jack McLuckin of Wycliffe Bible Translators Jungle Aviation Service. This incident happened in the 1960s when Jack was on one of his first missionary flights in Peru. So, Jack McLuckin, who was once a Marine combat pilot in World War II and the Korean conflict, came to know Jesus Christ as his Savior about 5 years after the Korean conflict was over. And he flew for Wycliffe Bible Translators for 4 years as a mission aviation pilot. And then he was an international evangelist for over the next 30 years. Your parents might like the book called Split Second from Hell by Jack McLuckin. I'm going to say bye now. I hope you liked our missionary story, and come back next time for another missionary story read by me, Mrs. Wells, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.